All right, nerds. It's time to get serious. No more goofing around. What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Serious? Why so serious? So you gotta be. You gotta be serious in today's day and age. You have to be. There's no room for dilly-dally. There's no room for goofing off. There's no room for silliness. Time to get serious. This is definitely the serious crowd. Oh, always. Always. Fake internet dad. You're not my fake internet dad. I mean, I am your fake internet dad. That's how that works. How's everybody doing? How was the weekend? Good weekend? Good fun? Good things? Yeah? Surely you can't be serious. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Let's get dangerous. You can be seriously dangerous. That's a better form of dangerous, actually. Right? The accidentally dangerous thing, I don't know about all that. Hope this Monday isn't being a pain for anyone. Only people in Florida who are looking forward to the next hurricane that is going to hit them on Wednesday. I feel like if you're in Florida, move. That's my advice for this year is if you're in Florida, just go ahead and leave the state. Probably your best bet. Source does. Aloha, nerds. We must be serious all together. You had the dubious pleasure of dealing with Jason's female clone again today? What? What? There is no such thing. You tell lies. Lies from your mouth, my friend. Mahogany has been renamed to Mahogany? Or barbecue sauce? Barbecue sauce. And Zambi's kids are to blame for that? I'm good with that. I think barbecue sauce is a good name. Jen's not here to stop us. Let's do this. Jen's at home. She's back in the States. I think Jordan is due back, I don't know, maybe sometime tonight. I haven't really figured that one out. If you're in Florida, don't be. That's my advice. That's my advice. Avian, I need to workshop that. It's more like a 12-step program. I replaced the LCD on your 3D printer and seeing it turn on and work perfectly hit like drugs. Oh my god, that's a good dopamine hit, right? It's like I did a thing and it worked. Yes. You tried to unsubscribe from the Hurricane of the Month Club? How's that going for you? You're lackadaisically dangerous? I mean, that just means you're dangerous. Like, you don't even have to try, right? I'm just lazy dangerous. What does that even mean? It's like I don't even have to work at it. Danger just becomes around me. Tim says that you didn't think that when I called warm brown McRib red. Nope. Nope. Barbecue sauce. And that's only because of Ted Lasso that I'm okay with barbecue sauce. Only reason. Casually evil. Is that like your D&D disposition? Casually evil? It's no longer like chaotic evil. It's just casually. I'm just casually evil. I want to have a D&D. I would play D&D if there was casually evil. As a what's it called? What's it called? What's the term for that? Your disposition? What's it called? I'm just casually evil. Alignment. What's your alignment? Off and in need of repair. Green Gene Stealers, nice. Aberrant Smash. Yeah, they are kind of hulkish, except they have more arms. I think disposition is better than alignment, right? But I guess you could be moody, chaotic evil. So your disposition is moody. Your alignment is chaotic evil, right? Your disposition could maybe change Your alignment probably doesn't. Right? Nice, Nick. Alignment unaligned. Yeah, I feel like alignment is like your choice. Like choosing a chaos god would be your alignment. I feel like these are more like dispositions. I'm neutral. I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever. You know? Neutral evil? Like, yeah, whatever, as long as somebody's crying. Right? Right? I feel like that my alignment is derailed. Yes, pulling to the left. Oh, self-absorbed lawful good. Egotistically lawful evil. I feel like that's like now we're talking about a really, really good video. Because it's like we can just interview everybody based on their alignment. What's going on? Journeyman, how you doing? And welcome, everybody. Like I said, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. It was just me and the dog. Me and El Doggo. I speak top-notch Spanish here. You're only going to learn the best in Spanish at Monument Hobbies. El Doggo. What did we leave off? I think we were doing leather, right? We did the warm brown. Now we got to figure out what's next on the plate after warm brown. I got to figure out what I'm doing with this damn thing too. I don't know. Those things, because all the rest of the metal turned gold, and that was not my choice initially. I didn't want that to be the thing, but it turned out to be the thing. So now it's the thing. Now we got to figure out how to do the rest of this stuff. Hey, Awkwardish. What's going on? You work with a bunch of people who are chaotic stupid. Are you sure they're not just neutral stupid? The gravity-defying rock that he's leaning on. This is this rock is anchored very well in the earth. It's pinned, right? It's pinned into the earth. Oso Polar is looking bueno. Exactly, Nick. You know it. Lawful stupid, then chaotic stupid. I'm just neutral stupid. I'm literally just neutral stupid. We're talking about our alignment today, Awkwardish, and I was saying that I'm just kind of casually neutral. Nonplussed and neutral. I don't care. Equally. 4 Pig Bacon, what's going on? I would be the horrible one to have in your adventure. What do you want to do? Don't care. I'm easy. Whatever you want. You're firmly neutral good. I feel like that's kind of where I land in real life. But I'm going to go with nonplussed neutral. You got to see Awkwardish and did not get to try out... What? Wad fail. That's a glorious failure. Some friends of you are planning a trip to the 20-sided tavern in New York for the end of January. You're so stoked. Nice, Tim. So we have literally... So the gang and I went to Gamers Guild, which is the new big store that opened up here in Phoenix. It's in North Phoenix. But it's still only like a 15-minute drive for me from my house. 15, 20 minutes on the highway on a weekend. And holy crap, was it fun. It's, like I said last week, it's a huge store, number one. Tons and tons and tons of space. It's basically a big mall anchor store. Like it was like a Bed Bath & Beyond at one point in time. It's that big, right? And huge high ceilings and more gaming tables than you can shake a stick at. About a third of it is miniature wargaming tables, lots and lots of tables at the standing height. And then the rest of it is all these really cool tables they've built for card gaming. It's not just, folding tables. It's nice tables. Each table has a neoprene with the sewn edges, matte with their logo on it for each 2 players. They've got a big neoprene between each pair. And then you've got 2 pair side by side, and then tables on either side. So every 4 players are divided by these like they're the kind of tables you're supposed that would roll up under your couch and give you kind of like an arm rest thing. So they are nice and big, and you can roll them around to position them how you need. There's lots of space. It's just tons of space, very well laid out. Huge spot though, and QR code stickers on every table where you can just boop and order your food and drinks. Free refills on your drinks, alcoholic beverages if that's your thing, and just bar food. It's nothing to write home about, but it just the fact that you can sit there. We sat there and played Commander for like 4 hours, 3.5 hours, and had a blast, right? And it was like you could just order up a side, order up an appetizer, order up another drink, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, it's awesome, Teachment. It's absolutely awesome. Awkward as you work your ass off all weekend and barely had time to breathe, so Wad and you only really got to hang out while your brain was blue screening. Was this at Dragonfall? 18 hours of classes and worked like 30 in the 3 days of the con. So don't do that. Relax. Take it easy. Relax and take it easy. Sleep when you're dead is the other side of that agreement. Dragonfall. Yeah, I remember the con was this weekend. Yeah, cons are a lot, man. They're a lot. They're just a lot. I'm once again eating lunch from the dashboard drive-through. So I've got, I have goldfish. Would anybody like some goldfish? So Jen reported back from Spiel in Germany, and there were over 200,000 tickets sold. How silly is that, people? Like, legit, that's just stupid and silly. I feel like I want some orange brown. Is that what I'm looking for? Not orange oxide. Orange brown. Orange brown's what I was already using. Why do I have 2 bottles of it? Because that one's empty. Not caramel. I do want to pull caramel brand out. Not advanced flesh tone, although that's not a bad idea. Avant. Is it orange brown? Or dark orange brown? Or something like that. Drab brown. Ooh, drab brown might be cool too, huh? Nah, too green. Maybe. I want to know why all of my paints keep getting stolen by this guy over here. Oh, look. Dark orange brown. Look at that. And orange brown. Look at that. Now I'll come back over here and they'll be right in front of me. But for the time being, we're going to blame Jordan. Because he's not here. Yep, orange brown. I can give that back. I lied. That's his. That's how he fuels up the bus? Yes, on other people's paint. 200,000 people. Yeah, 200,000 people. Isn't that stupid? Oh, he's there in concept. He's always there, stealing my paints. Yeah, they don't do 4 day. It's just 2 days, right? Mark Thompson? They do 2-day passes. And they said the 2-day passes sold out instantly, and then everything else is single-day passes. But 200,000 tickets. That's stupid. Yeah, awkwardish. Jen said on Saturday she nearly said no and turned around and went back to the hotel and didn't even go to the hall because the miniatures hall is very small compared to everything else. Like you've got Mattel is there, right? Like Parker Brothers, Mattel, the people that make Monopoly. It's just huge, right? It's the largest convention of its kind in the world. But it's everything toys and gaming, right? And so you've got like a whole hall just for kids stuff where all the kids can go. And it's a totally different world. Like there's neat stuff, but you got to go. I think it was like halls, A, B, C, D, E, and it's like H and I are the miniature halls or something like that. So, and they were linear. Like you had to go through every hall to get to the miniature hall. And so Jen said on Saturday she nearly gave up. She was wall to wall. You know how it is. If you've ever been to a Gen Con, the people with their board game backpacks that forget other people exist in the world and how big they are, they were basically carrying another human on their back, and they're just turning around, talking to their friends, and smacking you in the temple with their board games. Yeah, 200,000 of those. 200,000 of those. Is there any way to escape that situation without somebody getting angry? How do you mean? You're painting dioramas. Oh, okay, wait a minute, Kruger. You have a problem. I'm painting dioramas for a really long time, and then from nowhere, people learn for it and start messages me from all over my country to paint them figures. Is there any way to escape that situation without someone getting angry? So you're saying that people are asking you, Kruger, to do commissions for them, and you don't want to do commissions? Just say no. Say, hey, unfortunately, that's not something that I do. I do it. I get asked all the time to paint people commissions. Nope. Sorry, not what we do. Yeah, they should 100% ban those backpacks. But I mean, people got to carry their games. But you have people with like pull-arounds and carts. They take up like 4 people's worth of space, and they just do along at their own pace. It's really rough sometimes to deal with that. Iterator. Did you go by the Artis Opus booth? PK Pro, maybe? Did you get to meet Jen and Jordan? I know that they met Vector. That made it onto my radar. They mentioned Vector. I don't know if Vector's here. But it was nice that Jen and Jordan got to meet some of our wonderful European viewers. That is a rarity for us because obviously we don't do a whole lot of shows over in that neck of the woods. So very happy that that's a thing that got to happen. Dark orange brown over the warm brown. Warm brown is not the darkest brown we have by any means, but it does make for a really good shade for brown and keeps it like its namesake into the warmer tones, so then you can move it into a more orangey brown or whatever you want. The umbers are very good, but the umbers are very neutral and almost to the cooler shade of brown. So, they would require you to use a little bit of some other hue to get them to really do the job if you want warmer browns. I'm just using the dark orange brown, very light, very watered down over the warm brown. I've spent the bulk of my day trying to get my new computer set up in my office. That's always a absolute crapshoot. I got a laptop when I went on my last trip, business trip, because I knew that trip was going to be a lot of sitting in the hotel or in cafes while I wait on all the other stuff I had to do. So I wanted to have my full service computer rather than just an iPad. And I've been needing a new computer for a while anyway. In the office, my other computer barely totes around with Windows 10 on it, and there's some apps and things that I just can't do now without Windows 11 and a little bit faster speed. A hell of a machine, my older desktop, but getting a little long in the tooth. So switched over to a laptop, got a really brutal, fast 18-inch screen laptop. It's very nice. But having to figure out how to make it work through the Thunderbolt dock and all that stuff so it can be in my office with a minimum of 3 screens on it has taken me quite a while today. So I've done a lot of nothing other than return some important emails and set up my computer. So I feel like today is not really productive, but on the other hand, it really is. You ever have those days where you know you did a lot, but it's not the lot that gets the stuff off your to-do list? That's where I'm at. Hey, Victor. Hello, I was just talking about you. I heard you got to meet Jen and Jordan. Zambi's in the house. Is there a Zambi's in here? What? What? Reporting for duty. Big Bob, I do that every morning right before I take my shower. How you doing, Zam? Hey, Zambies, have you used the stuff? Have you used the goods? Have you got the goods? Zambies is here for barbecue sauce. I will never be able to hear that word without seeing him throw that double bowl in what is one of the greatest scenes in all of television or movie history, where he is he being Ted Lasso. If you weren't here earlier for that, if you haven't seen Ted Lasso, watch it. What a great series. Up until, like, it was hard to get through the last season, but the first 2 seasons are just freaking unbelievable. Barbecue sauce. A curious man might have asked me, "Hey, Ted, have you ever played darts?" To which I would have responded, "Yes, sir. Played for hours every Sunday with my father before he passed away." Such a great scene. As he completely smoked and rope-a-doped that guy into a game of 301. You may have used them this afternoon and recorded a little. What'd you think? You want to give us a little snippet, a little TLDR? No pressure. I'm just dying to know what everybody thinks. We like to think we're not biased because we only put out the products that work. But at the end of the day, the reality is we're pretty biased because we like all the stuff we make. And this one has been a fun ride. So I'm really stoked for everybody to get a chance to enjoy. You'd love to cuddle up on the coach and devour a box of Snickers? What? The coach? Chomping at the bit. Thursday, folks. Thursday. The world will change Thursday. Doing leather, I tend to be a little even more loose than my normal style with my brush strokes, because building up a little bit of texture is never a bad thing, depending on how beat up you want the leather to be. Of course, if you're trying to do like perfect patent leather or something, you wouldn't use a ton of texture, but in this case, I feel like Battle Bear's leather is probably going to be a little beat up, so... A lot of people did the convention thing this weekend, Dragonfall. If you're over in Europe, Spiel. Me and the dog sat at home, took her for a lot of rides in the car. Went to Gamers Guild and had some fun with the boys on Saturday. Forgot to feed myself one night. Wound up hungry. It's amazing I'm still alive. At age 54, having spent most of my life on my own. I don't know how that happened. Only the second bear you've seen me paint? The other one was pink, right? I'm trying to think how many bears I've painted. Bears may be one of the few species I haven't painted very many of. There are quite a few bears in the world of miniatures, but they've never been high on inclusion rates in what I've been interested in. I like bears. There were, at one point in time, there was a group of dwarves on Battle Bears that was a really cool miniature. You can still buy them. They're from Cybor Monstrous Minis. I think he's in Poland. He does some really great hand sculpts. He's got some dwarves on Battle Bears that are really, really cool. I just never, you know me, I'm like, well, I'm never going to use these for anything. And that's always harder when I got to order them from overseas, wait for them, pay a lot. So it wasn't something that I ever bit the bullet on. But they were great. Still are. They're still around. SCIBOR, Cybor Miniatures, if you want to go check them out. They've got some dwarves on Battle Bears that are really bitching. And those are, you know, not humanoid bears. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. What? BETS? Beats? Those grow on the ground. You cook for the family every night, but if I'm ever left on my own, I eat nothing but garbage. That's pretty much me. I mean, I don't cook. I'm thinking I should not spray outside when the wind is constantly changing. It's a windy day. You tested cans on resin, plastic, metal. Your favorite is actually gray. I'm used to rattle can primers that are non-hobby, so it's nice to have them be thinner and not caked on. Can layer it up. And aren't they amazing for that, Zam? And what do you think of that finish? That's good. I like to hear it. That's the thing that I talk about. We did a little quick promo video of me talking about why Monument got into this, you know, why we decided to partner with Color Forge and do these things. And I talk a lot about the fact that, yes, while you can spend less, and I have generally told people, if you're going to use rattle can primers, buy them from the hardware store, because the hobby ones are traditionally not good. And the hardware store ones at least work to your expectations. They suffer from the other things. They're much better going on, but they're also thick and can clog up your details. So Krylon, Rust-Oleum, stuff like that. I forget what we have over in England, but there's all the hardware stores have got their sprays. And while, yes, they work better than hobby sprays, they still don't work the way you want them to. And so for me, it's always been why do we have to deal with this mediocre stuff? And now you don't. Now you can deal with a primer that really gets workhorse work done, doesn't clog the details. You can layer it up like you want. It works like a champ. But yes, windy days, always a bad idea for priming. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, though. The Cyborg's Christmas ornaments are funny, yeah. Musky ursine scented paint. But I feel like that's just animal BO. Right? Yeah, Tamiya's always had the right idea for what a hobby primer needs to be. It's still a solvent based primer, it gets the job done, they're good, but they put them in too small of a can. For some reason, they think that as a hobby primer, you don't need as much. And they're expensive for that. So, again, ColorForge already had it nailed down, right? They already had the whole idea of better value with more volume per can at a better price. That's their whole shtick over in the UK. So when we had an opportunity to talk with them and started lining out plans for what we wanted to be doing, it just all fell in line. It made perfect sense with their branding and development. It's nice when you find people who kind of share very similar ideas in that regard. So finally had to sit and do more than spot use y'all's paint and your torn. On the one hand, I love how easy it is to get strong contrast, but on the other, it's a palette fight, and I keep feeling like I'm one stroke away from an unfixable crap show. How do you mean? Unfixable crap show? What do you mean? Palette fight? Using an overly wet palette? Don't. Stop it. Do not act like our paints are your standard hobby paints. They are not. Our paints are something new from what you've ever used that will give you 100% better results than any other hobby paint on the planet if you give them the attention they need as being something different, right? It's like if you have, I always use the construction thing, right? Because I come from a world of tools. If you had used a hammer your whole life to hammer nails into wood and then somebody gave you an air nailer, you would have to relearn how to nail. They don't work the same. You don't swing them the same, you don't use them the same, but they get the job done much better than a regular hammer. And so that's what our paints are. Our paints are not the same old hammer that you've been swinging. After painting for over 45 years, my goal was to get rid of the headaches that I had been experiencing for way too long dealing with hobby paints and get to a point where we could enjoy painting quickly and stop spending all that time on the palette. Just paint. Paint on models, enjoy models. Video game archaeologist, what's going on? Holy cow, good to see you. Muddy yard and a tree falling on the roof and a week of no power. Oh my god, I'm glad you guys are doing all right though. You need to hammer it on, Source. That's not what I just said, so thanks. It's not at all what I was just saying. And now the key here is to keep it from getting too much like the gold, right? We're going to use glazes of transparent, I had said, to work the coloring of the leather back to something different. But for a highlight color, I would usually go up to almost an olive flesh. I don't know that I want to go that bright, so maybe we'll mix olive flesh in with orange brown for that. We could also use warm flesh or dark warm flesh, right? But dark warm flesh gets really close into those colors you see on our gold, even though it's not the same. You can see how that becomes very quickly kind of like our metal, right? So I don't know that I want those really yellow undertones. So let's get that knocked down into more of a neutral with some olive flesh. And we'll just mix that in with the dark orange brown that we've been using. Insurance adjuster will be out soon to deny our claim. I've been hearing that that's been a nightmare for a lot of people, so I hope that's not the case for you, video game. I just want to kind of sketchy. Not quite stippling because I've got the blade of the brush turned to the point where it's making like hash marks. Think about if you were painting like a prayer scroll or a purity seal or something like that. You wanted to show off a little bit of text. I want to kind of use the flat of my brush to give me more lining type effects here. And on these thin areas, just kind of poke it so I get that dotted, beaten look. Defrost, what's going on? Thank you. Just every now and then, I like to pick up a model that I call a palette cleanser. It's just something that you can do fast. It doesn't mean that you're doing it at any different of a quality level than something you might do normally, but it's just one where you don't have to worry about it. You're not worried about color. It doesn't have to fit an army. It doesn't have to fit with any view of something I'm teaching. We get to, teach no matter what we do. But I don't go into it with any kind of preconceived notion other than on him I wanted to use a lot of blues and jades and purples as a way to get the base for the skin laid out. And we've achieved that. Now, tying everything back together on top of those colors is the key. So it's just fun. Doesn't have to be, it is from the Warcrow game that we have the game from Corvus Belli in-house. We thought about giving it a shot and playing it. That has not yet happened. We'll see how that goes. Get this kind of pseudo highlight to disappear off into the shadow of his arm here. Source, every time I watch it, it's like painting is so easy. Just look at Jason do it. And then you get to your own painting and you're like, this is hard. How come this doesn't work like on the TV? It's because of special effects. What's really happening here is that every time I move the brush, Christopher and Gabe are in there with a special effects program. Making sure that it looks better than it really does. Black Magic camera. That's true. They're Black Magic cameras, so who knows? It's literally in the name. You know, people laugh when I always say that painting is 90% right amount of paint in the right location. Because, of course, that's, made infinitesimally simple for what painting really is as an art form and how we do it as artists and the thinking we do as we do it. But it really is also true that painting is the right amount of paint in the right location. And so studying the material you're painting is the biggest key to figuring out, okay, how do I determine what the right amount of paint for each location is? Well, looking at references, painting a million models, all that kind of stuff, it all works. But anything you see done requires you to go and do it and get the hang of it, right? Build that confidence up. Eliminate a lot of the fear that comes from messing up, right? A lot of us act because, it's true in life, right? When you mess up, you feel bad. And especially if you mess up on something that cost you X amount of dollars for a squad of Marines or whatever it is, you don't want to mess that up. But the thing with paint is that you're never really messed up, right? You may not like it, what you turn out. You may not get the result you wanted, but you're never messed up. It's not brain surgery. It's not like you're going to wind up in a situation where you can't turn back. There's always turning back from every point along the path when painting. You try something, doesn't turn out, repaint it. Now that's also oversimplifying, because if you just spent 40 hours to get to a point you don't like, you probably don't want to spend a lot more time on that model in front of you. But you can. And I think it's the I could part that for me eventually wound up keeping me from feeling like messing up was the end of the world, and let me start opening up and being a more focused and better, quote unquote, better painter. Because you just start attacking the model with what you think is going to look good, and as soon as it doesn't look good, you stop and course correct. That I'm liking. Keeping the leather just a hair off of the gold. We can go back and darken it up. I'm going to put some brown wash on it. That'll darken it up a bit. That's starting to look good. Yeah, you can't hurt them. Can't hurt the models. Could it be rocket surgery? It's rocket surgery. Every time you go to paint, I feel like my hand imitates the California fault line. I've taken a lot of time watching how Jason and Jordan brace their hands, and also learning my need for bifocals. Oh yeah, trust me, I'm there on that one. Fuse thinks a lot of it is fat. A lot of it is flatbread. Not everything that has sauce and cheese and bread is a pizza. Not how that works. But a lot of flatbread depends. Like if we're talking about making it at home, then you could get away with calling it pizza, unless of course you're a self-proclaimed hipster, at which point in time it's automatically flatbread. So, because if you're chaotic neutral or chaotic evil out there doing flatbreads, then there's no hope for you. But so long as you're not throwing that out there for the world every time, then it can still be called a pizza. We'll give you that. You're the Joan Miro of miniature painting. You don't know what you're looking at most of the time. Nothing wrong with that either, man. Create your own style. If by looking at your miniatures I have no idea what's going on, that's part of the flair on its own. Honest to God, there's nothing wrong with that. Performance art. I paint the miniatures live and just throw them around. Also, okay, you do you. The second pineapple touches it, it is no longer pizza, it is flatbread. This is also correct. There are some rules that you just can't break, right? These are called laws. You can break them, but we will hunt you. And if you put pineapple on a pizza, you have now changed it inherently, right? It's like throwing water on a witch. No longer a witch.
Throwing water on a witch no longer.
Chris is over here commenting on my witch statement. It's like throwing water on a witch. I just make stuff up as I go, Chris. You know this. I'm not looking for anything that they've heard before. Where we started, what it turns into. Jade's like, wait, do I need to be concerned with coming to Arizona? I mean, we can see through all the Wiccan crap in Arizona, so I don't know what that means to you. We have enough transplants from upper Massachusetts to know that if it don't float, it's a witch. The only way that you will be absolved is if you drown. It's not a good choice in this, is there? But yes, we are also the home to many witches because of the lack of water, as Game Delay says. So it's kind of a give and take, you know? Is Chris spray painting in the corner? He's over taking photos of what looks to be like models with the spray paint cans. We've done a lot of the sprays on the texture trainers, and he's doing shots for commercials. Who are you to be so learned in the ways of science? If it sinks, it's a witch. Science. Just waiter against a duck. Yes. I mean, ducks float. So if you weigh more than a duck, you'll sink, and you must be a witch. This is science. And also good hypothesis and scientific process to find the solution. What also floats? Rocks? Does that mean Oz had zero humidity? Doesn't seem healthy. I mean, Banner! Saw a panda in photo next to a panda on Instagram. Neither of them natural pandas. It was pandaception. What? I was going to ask if we could get a Mr. Sushi cam, but I just realized he's probably often working with stuff we can't see yet. No, typically he's working on stuff that you've already seen. We could put like a GoPro strapped to Chris's head, and just switch over to, and now to live Chris Cam. It's Sushi Cam. And it's just Chris walking to the bathroom. Every time you say he's taking photos, I imagine him taking selfies with the models. That's also happening, Mike. That is happening. Which, by the way, hang on, folks. Hold, please. I'm back. There's very few words needed here, by the way. This is my life, chat. You see how they treat me? So, what happened was, I stated very succinctly that I would never wear a brown hat because brown hats are bad. And that if you wanted me to wear a hat that said Dirt King, it would have to be black. This is my life, chat. This is my life. It's actually a nice hat. So I am now the Dirt King, and this hat will be worn to hell, Mike. Like, literally, I wear the hell out of this hat. I love it. Thank you. I was actually disappointed when the first one showed up. Not disappointed like, oh, you bum. Disappointed. Not that kind of disappointed. I was disappointed in the fact that I was like, well, I'm never going to wear a brown hat. And I really like the hat. So now that's solved. So, Mike, again, you're a hero amongst men. Thank you. T. Schmidt says, what's wrong with brown hats? Yes. It's easier to just say what's not wrong with them, which is nothing. Everything is wrong with brown hats. The only thing that's not wrong with brown hats is they probably still shade you from the sun. It got ordered right when I said that. Stop it. Stop it. Do you keep a little dirt under your pillow for the dirt man yet, Papa Chicken? So when Gabe sent me the video, I realized I have seen that video, but it's so ridiculous that I didn't ever watch it the whole way through. I had to watch it the whole way through when Gabe sent it, and now I understand. Brian, yeah, brown is the pineapple on pizza of hats. Yes, nobody wears brown hats. No, like, just think to when the last time you just had people wandering around in brown hats was, and think about where you were, and was that a place you wanted to hang out? Probably not. Let's just say no. Brown hats go well with brown paper bags. When it's black, it's filled with nutrients for plants. Wait. Wait, what? The hats are all made out of the same thing. It's literally just a color choice. And I don't know why. It's like wearing brown shoes. I don't like brown shoes, and I don't wear brown hats. Period. I see other people wearing brown shoes, and I'm like, don't know about the brown shoes. Interesting choice. Black is always a better choice for shoes. Right? Brown hats. We have both kinds of music, country and western. Okay, well, I'm talking baseball hats. That was specifically stated that brown baseball hats are bad. Like, look at like the San Diego, was it the San Diego Padres or the San Francisco Giants or something like that in the national in the like baseball that had brown hats at one point in time? Horrible. Right? Brown cowboy hat. 100%. Brown Aussie leather hat with a snap on one side, the like the range caps and whatever, 100%. Brown bomber cap, 100%. Brown baseball hat, never a good time for it. Never ever a good time for it. Pith helmets, whatever you like. Brown, fine, right? Fine. Probably not a top hat. Probably not trying to see a brown top hat anytime soon. That weirds me out. Right? Safari hats, right? Yeah. Exactly. Jason needs a black cowboy hat, noted. Do not send me a cowboy hat. I grew up in Texas. You will not be able to send me a hat that is worthy of this cowboy. I just said that out loud. Bowlers? I could see a brown bowler, mainly because the dude with the red mustache in Nick Fury's outfit and the old Captain America's from the Howling Commandos wore a brown bowler. So I can see that because I have a love for that character. I forget what his name is. I could see that, right? Did he wear like a striped shirt, brown bowler, big red mustache? I could see that. Is there a 100-gallon hat? Yeah, Dum Dum Dugan. I think he wore a brown bowler. In Texas, is it considered appropriate to wear a straw cowboy hat with flip-flops? Dude, in Texas, cowboy hats go with everything. All the way to naked. All the way to naked. I have an Aussie range cap somewhere. I used to ride my bike with it, believe it or not. I have a brown leather, like whatever it's called, field cap, whatever. You know, the one that's like a droopy cowboy hat, but it has the snap on one side that you can snap it up. I don't think it has snaps on both. I think it's just on one side. And I would take it and turn it sideways and pop it up with the snap in the front and do the tie really tight under my neck. And I'd ride my motorcycle that way with a flap up. I look like the dude delivering the mail back in the Wells Fargo wagon days. I need red hair dye and a brown bowler hat. Never. The red hair dye ain't gonna work. You see this? I don't know if you know anything about gray hair, Mike, but gray hair doesn't light color. You put it in and it just goes away. It's like, it's over that. It's like, we're over that. Wear your black hat while pig wrestling in the mud. That's probably only acceptable reason. Yeah, but even back then they had to have had the smarts to dye their brown leather black, right? Beaver pelt hats, on the other hand, right? That might be like brown. You could have like a brown raccoon hat if you were like a hunter or trapper back in the day. Grizzly Adams. Just, they weren't wearing brown baseball hats, so stop even trying. Not how this works. You'll never convince me. I love the smatterings of conversations I get to hear that happen in the marketing area around the studio here, because this is like the marketing department back here. Game development, product development, and marketing happen on this side of the building. And so the conversations that happen are generally Christopher and Gabe poking fun at people or saying really crazy things. And Christopher's the king of one-liners. Like whenever you separate from a conversation, you're done with a conversation with Chris, he'll be like, stay safe out there. As you're like going back to your office. Like, good luck. There he goes. Like, good luck. Do I need luck? I'm just going back to my office. I was going to lunch. What's luck got to do with it? Now he's out there saying, you never know, man. You know what Christopher reminds me of the most in the world? A fictitious character that all of us know and love. Can anybody guess? Every nerd knows and loves this character, whether you know you do or not. It's from a movie. They talk, yeah. Yeah, we let them talk around here. No, not Christopher Robin. Rick? What? From The Walking Dead? No. Interesting choice, but no. A beloved character in sci fi movies. Not Eeyore or E.T. or Wade Wilson either, no. Not Dudley Do Right. Although, or maybe now he's doing voices, which he's actually very good at voices too. Peter Sellers, no. Yoda, no. Goonies, Chuck. I said sci-fi. Kind of C-3PO, but snarky like R2-D2. R2-D2 was the king of snark, wasn't he? Like, it literally was. C-3PO had some good moments, but R2-D2 was always there like, yeah, idiot human. I told you that 30 million times earlier. Don't listen to the droid. See where that got you. That's R2-D2's entire life. HAL 9000? No. No. Bill Paxton from Aliens. Val Thornillian nailed it, buddy. Chris is Bill Paxton. 100% Bill Paxton. Because anytime there's a conversation ongoing over here that's really serious, he'll pop in and he'll be like, game over, man. Game over. Bill Paxton from Aliens. Why don't you put her in charge? You are. That's who you are. I vision it 9 times out of 10 when Chris is involved in a conversation from like tangentially involved. When he's in the conversation with you, he's still that guy. But yes, he's that guy. Right? Yeah. He is totally Bill Paxton's character from Aliens. 150 million%. You're pretty sure he's Alf. He doesn't eat cats. Well, that we know about, or that we talk about on stream. We were told by his therapist that we are not supposed to bring that type of information to light in front of him because it kind of takes him to a bad spot. So let's keep that on the hush. Let's give Chris the benefit of the doubt. He's working on it. Right? We're all pulling for you, Chris. Chris is a guy? Man, learning lots of things today. Wait a minute. You've seen Chris before. I'm not saying Chris would be the ugliest woman on the planet, but he would be looking for jobs at the circus. He did cut his hair recently, and he's dead sexy with his haircut. When do rattle cans drop? Thursday. Thursday, bright and early. We will have them set to go live. They're already ready. I don't know if Gabe's got all the images up there or not, but that'll all be taking place today, tomorrow, the following day. And then those will go live Thursday morning. Thursday in the AM. Talk Radio, 1430. Kimberly says, Chris, you were dead sexy before the haircut. Don't listen to Jason. So isn't that the bad thing with like when people do stuff like that, like change their whole appearance, you know? Like if you're married or, you know, you got somebody like a Chris around that you're around every day and you feel like you got a good relationship and then all of a sudden they do something drastic like cut their hair off and you're like, oh my God, I love this. This is the best you've ever looked. And then you have to retract that and be like, well, I mean, you were already good looking, but yeah, I'm not good at any of that. I just tell Chris he's dead sexy now and let him figure out what I thought of him before. You used to have a big beard, you cut it off, and your wife's reaction, there's a reason I haven't grown it back. Oh, really? So she loved it. How many years did you have your beard? And she was still your wife. So, I mean, that was like a win day for her, right? Is that what you're saying? Like she won the lotto? She's like, I already married a sexy man. Now? Bingo. Chris is definitely more the handlebar mustache guy. I can see Chris with a handlebar mustache. Mike says, Jesus on a hanky. That's not a short time. That might be my new favorite saying. This morning I was walking around and I forgot that my jeans were still in the dryer because I did laundry yesterday. And my jeans got done last and they were in the dryer and blah, 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 blah. And this morning I walk into our closet in the bedroom. Jen got home late last night. She zonked. She was at home. She was still in bed with the dog. I walk in, got my underwear and my shirt on, and I'm like ready to put my jeans on. I walk in there and I go, oh, nuts. And I think that's like sums up life living with me. I'm either a complete sailor, dirty mouth, or I'm like totally wholesome. Oh, nuts. My jeans are in the dryer. Shucks. Jason needs to rock a handlebar mustache for when Jen gets back. I can't remember if Jen's ever been around when I've done the Lemmy thing, right? Where I've cut like the chin out to where it's literally just the handlebar beard thing. Oh, jeez. Ah, oh, nuts. Rats. Shucks. I think we need to bring these words back. Right? Blades, what's going on? I feel like everybody just needs to bring these words back. You'd be like, ah, shucks. Rats. Leave it to the beaver. Bring back Leave It to Beaver. Gosh darn it, Wally. No, I went to the dryer and got the pants, Mike. I'm not sitting here pantsless. Oops. Take that back. I apologize to everybody at the office. At least I wear boxers. Cursing is too fun to leave it to 1950s TV talk. But think about how much more potent and important. You have to say those two, if they're together in a sentence, you have to say them, you have to enunciate properly because it sets you up for failure. So more potent and important cursing is if the other 99% of the time you're like, oh, nuts. Right? We've lost the whole idea of what cursing was for. Because now it's just daily speak. We've become numb to it. We need to reverse that. We need to go back to, oh, gee, Wally. Right? Then when you curse, people take notice, and it has power again. It makes a presence felt. It lets your emotions be known, as opposed to just when you sailor talk all the time and people are numb to it, and then they don't understand. Then you got to say really abusive stuff to get their attention, and that sucks. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and all his carpenter friends. That's a lot of words, though. That's a lot of words. You got to really, really want it to go that deep. Right? So I'm a fan. I'm bringing back, oh, nuts. Oh, geez, Wally. Stop punching the beaver. That got a laugh out of the marketing team. I can't do it. It's a family show. I don't know what you're talking about. Family show. We do family things. We teach people how to paint. We tell some fart jokes every now and then. That's it. That's it. Everybody poops. About where we draw the line. Here I'm going to stipple a little bit more of the highlight because the shape of this horn or drinking flagon or whatever it is such that it's got a radius to it and also this curvature along the spine. So the stippling is going to let us create a highlight a lot better than you can imagine doing lines. Lines are going to start showing the shape of it, right? The roundness of it. Stippling can help alleviate that, which is why like stippling your highlight on Space Marine shoulder pads is better than trying to do it with hash marking or edge highlighting like you normally would. You just kind of build up a texture as you go. And that texture, if it's random enough, you do a good enough job in there, then it's going to let the shape be the shape, but not accentuate the lines too much unless that's your goal. Like this line here where the stitch is, I'm okay with getting that more abrupt. Something like that pulls it off a lot better. Stabbing with a brush, yes, it ruins your brush, so be prepared. All this stippling talk people babbling about out in the world, just realize it is very abusive on your brush. No way around it. Don't worry about it. We'll make more brushes. You'll be all right. Now we can do a little bit of highlight just with the olive flesh before we go in and do the filter with the transparent. Brush is a tool no different than a hammer, except don't drive nails with it. And unfortunately, the hammer will last longer if treated right. Even your best treated brush probably won't outlive a hammer. Mike says, not on the show, right? You don't poop in the studio, right? You're concerned? I mean, hey, you know. It's like peeing on the bench when you're playing hockey. Sometimes what you gotta do. Or a carjack if you're brave enough. What? Heavens to Betsy. I like Murgatroyd. Heavens to Murgatroyd. That sounds like a criticism, but I don't know if he's ever even heard that before. Your sister-in-law swears like a sailor. It only causes people to roll their eyes around it. Right, because they're just used to it. Now they're like, she's just acting out. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Game delay. Jason, just open your eyes to a new thing, peeing on the bench. I mean... when you gotta go. I think it might have been Wayne Gretzky that came off a shift with the Edmonton Oilers and peed on the bench and talked about it later on in memoirs or on a show or something like that. You're tired. There are no breaks. So you just gotta go. Gotta go. Yeah, you're not gonna take your gear off, take your skates off in the middle of a game when it's down to the wire. You gotta go back over the boards and play more. Nah. You just do what you gotta do. You're already sweaty and wet and smelly. So, I mean, Hanna-Barbera, the pink leopard, Great Googly Moogly, or Heavens to Murgatroyd? Was he pink? Heavens to Murgatroyd. I think he was a cat, right? I thought it was just a normal, like, tiger or something like that. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Great Googly Moogly. I don't remember where that one came from. Flapjack says, I feel like Wayne Gretzky could probably get away with a little bit more than I did. Oh, there's a lot worse that goes on the bench. People puke all over the benches. Lots. The higher level of play you get, the more people exert themselves, the longer they stay out the night before. There's a lot of bad stuff on the bench. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Exit stage left. Well, that same guy? Because I can hear the feet moving for the exit stage left. The skiddada, 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 skiddada. Oh, was that Frank Zappa? Snagglepuss. Yeah. Snagglepuss. I need more olive flesh. Remember, we're just doing dark orange brown and olive flesh over warm brown for the leather right now. Keeping it simple. Oh, you know what, though? I probably need to do a little bit of weathering on the knife scabbard. What I can only imagine is a dagger or knife scabbard sans knife. He threw it and it's in somebody's neck somewhere. That's all I can imagine with that. Because it is definitely nowhere to be found on the model. You need to start cleaning your bathroom or you'll lose all motivation. Oh my God. Hockey gear is amongst the worst smells you'll ever have. That's why. So if you've ever watched, I'll give you a free one today. So what we call face washing, right, is when you have your hockey gloves, they're this kind of like nubuck leather palm. I think they called it nubuck. It was like a fake leather, but it was thick, like worker gloves, heavy worker gloves on the inside of the palm, and then of course the outside of the hand and fingers is all wrapped with what do you want to call it? Individual pads. I was going to say whatever they are, segregated or segregated padding, whatever. Right, it bends like on the knuckles and stuff, and so there's gaps in between it. But it has a very flexible fabric. It's super soft and nice when they're brand new, and then as soon as you sweat in them about 2 or 3 times, they become the absolute worst material on the planet because it's really hard and it like chafes, right? And on the outside, it's doubly bad because on the outside you've got these big areas where they don't make them like nice New York Fashion Week styled gloves. They have big freaking seams where they come together, and so as it dries and gets wet and dries and gets wet and dries and gets wet, that gets hard. So the seams can cut you, right? They're like 1/8 inch thick leather stitched seams, really bulky. Think about the seam on the outside of your jeans or whatever, right, where it laps, and imagine that being like sticking straight up because they didn't take the time to stitch them one over the other. They just put them together and then stitch it, right? So now you've got this shark fin along all the edges, and those are just dry, freaking nasty, and they smell like death, like roadkill, right? Your hockey gear just smells like roadkill. And definitely your gloves are the absolute worst. So they stink, and you have this really hard material that even if you're playing and sweating, the ridge where it's stitched together stays hard and sharp. And so you'll see people every now and then, or back in the day before cages and face masks were as prevalent in the pros especially, you would see people come up and face wash. They just kind of stick their glove in a person's face and wipe it across their face. Disgusting. And probably the reason why most hockey players have some sort of staph infection. It's just horrible. Horrible. Oh my God, it's so horrible. Absolutely horrible. Kolmogorov, yeah, it was a base of warm brown for the leather. So we did warm brown, then dark orange brown over the top of that, thin. And then we've been mixing dark orange brown with a little bit of olive flesh to do all the rest. So that's all of the leather right there. And I'm about to put olive flesh by itself on there as a final highlight. And then we'll go through on certain of them and use some of the transparent paints to filter down to get different colors of leather. So it's not all the same color on him. I'll do some greens, maybe some reds, stuff like that. So we'll have some fun with it. But you'll see that just like with like non-metallic metal, I'm about to make a big jump here, so I got to be careful because I don't want this to get too outlandish. This is literally just for where like the nicks in the leather have exposed like the raw hide for what it is. If it's like, you know, maybe it's stained leather, dyed, I guess you dye it, you don't stain it. I guess you can do either, but first thing I'll do is just kind of grab dots and doots on the edges to mark my main highlight spots. Like so. And then on the bigger areas, like on this belt, I'll pull down a couple of larger scratches in that bright area. You got to make sure that with this you're not too thin. You want to be able to pull nice skinny lines, but you don't want those skinny lines to be too diluted because the paint will kind of blot out. It's got to be wet enough to come off the brush, but dry enough to make just the dot or line that you need. Otherwise, it'll get uncontrollable real quick. So you'll wind up going back and forth to the palette a lot more at this stage. And thank you for that follow. Welcome. Here I'm just trying to think about where the kind of folding of the leather is when it sticks out more, like here where his leg is, and then maybe right back here a little as it rumples before the bend up to the other leg. Maybe I have this little bit of shine in it around here. So I had a difficult TV experience this weekend, gang. I got very excited for something that I didn't know even existed, and I knew when I got excited about it I shouldn't have, and I was right. Can anybody guess? It's on HBO what I got excited about and then got disappointed. You guys have been pretty good with the guessing game today. Can anybody guess what I might have been? It's on Max or HBO as an HBO original that I might have gotten excited about, and then immediately within the first 45 minutes of it was completely done with it. Penguin? No. I've heard it's good. I was thinking about watching it after this bad experience with the other show, but I didn't tune in. I didn't take the time. Not Penguin. Is it bad? That sucks. I would hate to hear that Penguin is no bueno. Do a couple of scratch lines. You're enjoying Penguin? Yeah, I hear Penguin's good. Joker's at the theater. I said HBO, but yeah, a lot of people have said that the Joker, other than the ending that gives some fan service to the whole alternate reality Joker, is kind of cool. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I was pretty sure I was not going to go watch Joker, so I have watched some of the spoiler reviews and things. It was Dune Prophecy. Is that out? I've been seeing the previews for it. I did not know it was available to watch. But no, I didn't do that. It was Salem's Lot, the remake of Salem's Lot. As a movie. I believe strongly, near wholeheartedly, I would say, I believe that there is a pact out there amongst people in Hollywood and movie and TV that states that no one will ever make a good Stephen King adaptation without severe repercussions from their peer group. I'm a huge Salem's Lot fan. Great book. Has a lot of implications with characters and things that come back in the Dark Tower series. Things like that, right? So it's very powerful in the Stephen King narrative world, in the universe of stuff that he's done. Nick, it is wow. It didn't even start bad. It has good characters in it. It has good actors in it. The kids were good. The adults were good. I was very expectant as I got through like the first 30 minutes or so. The vampire part of it, there was some really good stuff and interactions going on. The way it was filmed has a lot of good stuff. And then glowing laser crosses that blow vampires across the room came out, and I was like, I'm out. It was just pathetic when the interactions between people and vampires started happening. It just went, I might turn it on and watch to the end, but it literally blew me away how bad it was. It really blew me away. Ugh. He pulls out a cross, a wooden cross, and it literally glows like a lightsaber and blows the vampire across the room. Like, wait, what? Wait, what? And like anything doing Salem's Lot, you could, because the book is short, right? Like some of those earlier King books, it's short, but it has a lot going on. And in trying to fit it into like an hour and a half, it has this pacing that you got to be careful of with King books, because if you're trying to tell everything, then it just makes things happen without timing and feeling to them. And that's what this kind of did. It kind of was too fast. You know, the first person falls, then it's a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and you don't get the feeling of the intensity of the way the book led to it, about how the town just kept getting sparse. Like, where are the people? What's happening? Why is everybody disappearing? And everybody's fear is building. In a show, it was just like 1, 2, 3. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it was just silly. It was silly. So, glowing laser crosses, Patrick Laughlin, yeah. And then the vampires start playing baseball. Didn't like the original Shining. Well, it was nothing like the book. So again, not a good homage to Stephen King's writing, because the Shining movie was nothing like the book, really, other than the character names and the location. And I guess the subject matter. But yeah, I like the movie a lot for The Shining. So, but not a faithful adaptation, right? There have been good movies that are Stephen King. The Stand, Green Mile, stuff like that are fantastic movies, and some of them do. Shawshank, you know, there's some neat stuff along that. But when it comes to like the horror flicks, I feel like there's just some pact with the devil someplace that people are like, oh yeah, Stephen King, his deal with the devil was that, oh yeah, I'm gonna let you write horror and become an absolute bajillionaire with your books, but anytime they make them into a movie, they're gonna suck. I feel like that was his caveat from the genie in the bottle, or the devil wish, or whatever. He's like, I want to be the most successful horror writer of all time. Great, but your movies will suck. I should have thought about that. as Stephen King doesn't care. I feel like Stephen King, he doesn't care. The movies can suck. Do you know how many millions I made off the rights to that? He's gonna love every single one of them. It's like the Tolkien family saying they love the Tolkien estate, saying they love Rings of Power. Of course they do. How much money they made off of that? Of course they do. Not a creative bone in any of their bodies. Of course they're going to love it. Oh, really, Nick? The kid who plays the son of Homelander in The Boys is the one of the brothers that, you know, the first that get taken. And I thought they actually did a good job. The kid that they have portraying the, you know, the hero kid is really good in it too. So it was it's kind of a real crapper that the movie overall is bad. So it's like, well, you get what you pay for. Yeah, Walking Harder. I feel like that's it, right? Is that King, even in short form, has such a good way to create the buildup and the tension. And when you're trying to convert that over to visual and pacing that a movie needs, that must be the hard part. I'm not a filmmaker, so I can't tell you 100% what all the problem spots are, but that sure checks out with what you see from those movies, like It and all those. It's a tough one, right? Because it's like already not highly palatable from its subject matter in a lot of cases. But you know, I guess it did fairly well with the remakes. But Jen and I think went and saw the first one, and it was so abysmal that it just turned it into a kids versus the devil action flick, you know. And we've talked about it on stream before. You know, the book jumps around in time, and in the movies they did it sequentially, and that's kind of not what tells that story. It makes it, like I said, it makes it into some sort of weird kids versus the devil action flick, as opposed to what it wants to be, which is introspective into each of their characters and the pains and suffering they had to go through as children and how it affected their adult lives and things like that. And some of that you learn very early on in the books, and it leads you through all that content very well. And the movie didn't do that. It doesn't give you the time to know those characters before they're just thrown into the situation and then tell you about it later. And don't get me started on The Dark Tower, The Gunslinger. Those books are amazing. God, that movie was atrocious. Yeah, Nick, that movie is horrible. Horrible. And while I'm a big Idris Elba fan, like he has got some shows, like his stuff on the BBC or whatever English channel they did, where he's the kind of anti-hero detective. I can't remember what they're called, but that first series of that I thought was pretty spectacular. Like I've liked him in damn near everything I've seen him in. But you know, they either needed to say, hey, this is just something in that world, and not have that be a reactionary take to it when everybody said the movie sucked. They needed to come up with a better way to let you know that, you know, hey, this is not the Dark Tower that you know. This is what would come from that world for the next gunslinger, right? If you've, I'm not going to worry about spoiler alerts for The Dark Tower. If you haven't read it, shame on you. Fantastic book series that kind of pulls the whole King-averse together and is fantastic, if not a slog sometimes. It's hard reading in certain cases, so I'm not going to lie and tell you it's perfect. It's a tough read through. Wolves of the Kala and, you know, some of the storylines, while being neat, are a tough slog to get through. And it's hard for some people to follow because it jumps all over time and space. But if you're a sci-fi fantasy fan, the Dark Tower series is amazing. Right? The Tale of the Gunslinger is one worth reading for the ages. And it ends up in a time loop kind of a thing that, you know, it's like the Matrix. It's like, oh, we've been here before, you know. Oh, there will be more gunslingers, or he is the gunslinger that goes through time and it's always him or whatever, some edition of him or whatever. It's up to the reader to determine a lot of that. But if they'd have just come out and said, yeah, this is one of those things where the gunslinger that you know through these books, you know, this is an extension of either before or after the story of the Dark Tower, and just been honest about that rather than trying to throw something at us that didn't work. Had some names in it that were familiar, and that was it. But again, that's one where you can't do that justice in a movie. Are you kidding me? That has to be like a series that goes on and on and on and on and on, because those characters have so many interactions. Like I said, I mean, you got Father Callahan, and you got people from the books that you know and love from King, right? Father Callahan, straight out of freaking Salem's Lot. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Walking Hunter. Like, King's characters are not otherworldly, dude. They're your neighbor. Like, they're you as a child or your neighbor. They have the same problems, right? Bullied because they're fat and have glasses, you know, whatever. And dealing with it like a normal kid would, and having to get through things and say things, and there's no superhero antics. It's just life. They get beat up, they get kicked over, the things happen, and then they grow up, and you're in that because you can either see yourself on one side or the other of everything in Steve and King's characterizations of people, right? You can either visualize this person from across the street, or you have been that person, and things like that have happened to you. Lots of his characters feel that way, right? Reading The Shining, right? That family is like every 70s family that I knew growing up, right? Pulling pennies together, you know, dad can't do what he wants, and yada, yada, yada. And so it just really had that Americana slice of life thing, which he's so great at. And then the devil, right? Or vampires, or whatever supernatural thing that he throws into real life, I think is what makes it so palatable or palpable. Right, and both because it feels like I need to check under my bed, dude, because this is normal people. This isn't some silliness. This isn't. There's no superhero at the end of the day. You know, it's crazy. Trying to find your copy of The Drawing of the Three and the Gunslinger. Luther, that's what it was. Luther was good. The second one I didn't get all the way through because it was a movie rather than a series, and I just didn't have the time. I feel like it was a movie and not a series. The first one was a series, right? All novels should be written by Academy Award-winning screenwriters like The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride's amazing. Lawnmower Man wasn't a faithful adaptation? I don't think so. I never read that book, and the movie was so horrible that I didn't ever put the book on my reading list, but it's also a short story, I think, The Lawnmower Man. And the premise of it is really cool, but Stand By Me and Hearts in Atlantis are faithful. I have never seen Hearts in Atlantis, and Stand By Me, you're right, yes. Like I said, Green Mile, Shawshank, those are pretty good. You like Cujo, the movie Cujo? It doesn't stand up. No pun intended. The Cujo movie doesn't stand up by any means. It's pretty bad. Yeah, Lawnmower Man's a short story, right? It was in an anthology or a magazine. But the yeah, and I haven't read. I mean, King's got such a library of stuff that I haven't read. I've got Bag of Bones. I don't even know what it's about. It's like so much of his stuff is like a writer trying to go and write and do. And some of it loses me. King has his exposés that make him sort of like Anne Rice, where he gets on these trips where it's like, just tell me already. And so some of his later books, don't do me as well as the early stuff. The early stuff was like, I'm going to tell horror stories. Maximum Overdrive is amazing, and I'll be taking no further questions. The movie? That's why you love The Stand, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, King's a little rough. I did have a good. I didn't enjoy the Salem's Lot, but I found a new game. Does anybody play MMOs? Raise your hand in chat. You play an MMO? There's a new MMO. Well, new to me. So what's it called? Throne and Liberty. A Korean MMO. Anybody playing it? Anybody playing this thing? I have been enjoying it, and I have not enjoyed an MMO in years. Years and years since I've played an MMO that I enjoyed. Like a true MMO, right? Like a, hey, let's go run dungeons with a random group in Party Finder. I have not done that in forever. And I've been enjoying this one. Well, it's like, of course the movie. Do I look like I read books? Real McCaffrey was like, playing online, like with other people? Yes. Walking harder, yeah, definitely. I've been through that. It was too much of a job to keep it up for sure. Definitely. But yeah, this one's playing online with real humans. And it's fun. I like the combat. It's been fun leveling up. It goes fast. It may wear me out because the leveling part goes fast until it doesn't. And now it's like grindy. I'm at level 33 or something like that, and I think you go to 50, and those last 17 feel like a world away for what I'm being exposed to XP-wise right now. Like, it just throws you to the point where you can start doing the PvP content, and it's more of a PvP-centered game at that point. And now I feel like maybe I got to rethink gear and all that kind of stuff, but it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. I would say if you like MMOs, give it a shot. It's free. Nothing will ever replace EverQuest. Oh, you sweet summer child. EQ. Hey, hurry up and stare at a wall, because the graphics will kill my machine. That was EQ, right? I played EQ for a brief minute, and it was such a bad experience because everybody had to turn and face the walls, right? Because if you looked at the screen while everybody's stuff was going off, your computer would freeze, and then the raid would wipe. So everybody would stare at the wall and cast their spells at the wall because it was targeted to the enemy, so it would just go to the enemy anyway. Fuker, what's going on? Yeah. Anyway, Throne and Liberty. Take that as you will. I've been having fun with it. It's been worth the price of 0.50. That makes sense. Free 50 free. For free 50 free, I've had an amazing amount of hours over the weekend playing the game, and even if I was to never play it again, that's worth it, turns out. So that's it. I'm done. It's 4 o'clock. I actually do have to leave. I cannot stay long tonight, unfortunately, because I have a meeting at 4:30 across town, so I gotta drive. Fly like the wind. But thank you guys and gals for hanging out with me. We did paint a lot of leather today. So you can see that the leather is coming along. We will tomorrow start looking at tomorrow or Wednesday. I may not be able to be on stream tomorrow, at which point in time you will be Gabe and Christophered to your heart's content. But the leather will change colors, right? So I'll probably do like maybe something a little more orangey reddish on this horn. And then on the main leather straps, we'll do all the same color. I'm thinking kind of a greenish haze to it, maybe like a dark yellow green or camo green glaze, or mix the transparent green and brown together and do something like that. I think I'll just do it straight with the transparents to show you how you can go and do that. And we'll pull the colors away from being very similar, so that straps and like this little do-dangly thing here can be a different color than the belt it's hooked to and things like that. So we'll have some fun, but it'll show you how you can paint all of the base for the leather exactly the same and then alter the color with a little filter over the top. So, huzzah. Thank you guys and gals for hanging with me. You built 8 peasants. I don't think that's legal. You can't have peasants anymore. So thanks so much for hanging with me. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. The week is kicking off to a good start for you. It is Monday. If you're new around here, please hit that follow button. We stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Arizona. We are based in the U.S., so we'd love to see you back here. Make sure you sign up for alerts to see when we go live. Join our Discord. I'll type that. I'll type all the things. Check out the store at monumenthobbies.com where you can pick up your Pro Acryl and your Pro Series brushes, all the stuff I've been using on stream. Then go to the FLGS link there for the store locator. Find all the amazing places across the world close to you that you can buy Monument. You don't have to buy them from us if you live in Botswana. You can have it shipped from a store closer. I don't know how much closer to Botswana we get, though. And then last but not least, the Discord. Oh, it's case sensitive. Sorry. So Discord. There you go. Right. Join the Discord. We've got thousands of artists just like you and me that are there to keep us company, keep us inspired, and make friends with all day, every day. A little bit of fart jokes, a little bit of funniness going on over there, some silliness, and 3 days to spray day, Nick. That's right. All of the spray primers. Remember, we are releasing our first edition of the spray can primers. That happens Thursday this week, beginning of the morning, top of the morning, Mountain Standard Time here in Phoenix. You'll be able to get the matte black, matte gray, matte white, and clear matte varnish. All the goodies shipped only to the contiguous 48 states. 49 if you count DC. That really threw me for a loop that we had to include DC in there. So, and then we'll be figuring out the rest of North America and rest of the world here fairly soon. But if you're in the contiguous 48, Thursday's a great day. So we look forward to see you then. But I'll be back again tomorrow. Don't huff it. Don't huff the paint. Don't eat the paint. I'm out. Stick around for a raid. Show some love in the channel we wind up in, and I'll catch you back here tomorrow. Adios, gang.